the second issue that people talk to me about is how they move leads through the funnel quickly and effectively. And the biggest problem people are finding is moving the lead from a point of view of when people have shown interest. So you've gone to a networking event and spoke to a number of people there about different things that they that you do, and you found a great connection and you've had a great conversation, and you come back and you connected on LinkedIn and it's all looking hunky-dory. But how do you actually approach them to sort of try and move this forward to become a prospect? So, a lead is someone who's shown interest. A prospect is someone that's actually talking to you about buying something and asking for a proposal. A lot of people find it quite hard to sort of move it on from the top of the funnel where they sort of put stuff in the hopper to actually move it further down the funnel. I think there are certain blockages in the funnel. One is that one I've just described, when somebody has shown an interest, but you're not sort of knowing how to approach it to make them to turn them into a prospect that would actually asking for proposal and being able to sort of get further conversations. Another really key area is when you've actually given somebody a proposal and they have and they've now ghosting you, so they're not coming back to you. You don't know what's going on. You've followed up a few times, but you're not hearing, so it's kind of stuck at that proposal stage. So those are the two sort of key blockages that people talk about, sort of being able to move people on. So some tips from me. So I think a really, really key one here is to understand what the client buying journey is and where they are at. When you meet people for the first time or you speak to them for the first time, I appreciate that if it's a networking event and you both sort of introducing each other about your business and sort of talking about different challenges, you might not want to go into a full mode of asking loads of difficult questions and sort of probing. If that is the case and you're just trying to sort of build a bit of a relationship, I would always try and book another meeting, a coffee or something, to be able to discuss things further. Because the most important thing when it comes to developing leads is data. So if you know what the person wants, then you understand how they're buying, where they are on their journey, how big is the issue for them? Are they actually going to do anything about it, or it's just one of those where they like to moan about it? Have they actually got any budget? Who else is involved? All of these things really, really matter for you to be able to move the lead forward. So if you've met with somebody and the interest seems to be sufficient, so you kind of ask yourselves questions like, are they in my target market? Is the product that they need or the solution they need something I offer? Do we share values? Do we seem to be in the same sort of on the same page? Those kind of questions are more for yourself to kind of ask yourself as an initial qualifier, because often I think the fact that people don't respond that much and you don't get that many conversations, and often if you've had a conversation, we can get a bit excited about that conversation, but we don't actually know that this person is right, that business is right for us. And that, I think, is the most important starting point that you need to do when you talk to people. If all of those questions are a yes and they tick a box, then I think you want to really try and highlight their issue. That is a really important starting point at developing a lead, is understanding what their pain point is. It can be a bit uncomfortable, I guess, sometimes to ask people about, well, why are you finding it difficult, and what is it that makes it a challenge for your business, and how hard is it for your day-to-day job, and does it stop you sleeping at night? Or there's loads of questions like that you can sort of adopt a number of them and use that you feel comfortable with. But it is really key. There is a book called The Mum Test, which is a really good book. If you haven't read that, I recommend it, which talks all about this idea that when you first go out, and this book was written by a startup company, or a guy that owned a technical startup that had this wonderful idea, and he found he was going out talking to people and they were all going, oh yeah, it's a great idea, it sounds excellent, well done. And he'd be coming back to the office thinking, oh yeah, they like me, but then he never got them anywhere and he never sold anything. And so he realized that the fact that people say that is not really any indication of selling. It's just them being polite, as we are to each other. And we can, like your mum would really like it if you came and said, oh, look at what I've invented today, or what I did at school today. It's that same idea. So it's making sure that you break through that initial kind of like, everybody's nice in those networking events and just want to talk, and they're not necessarily really interested. The fact that they, if they ticked your boxes as a company you'd want to work with, even if they don't have a problem right now, they're a good lead. You should put them in your CRM as somebody that you keep in touch with, because if you then send them materials and you let them know about the company, they may well buy from you in the future. So I don't think it's a waste of time. But for you to be able to sort of move things on right now, you need to understand what is the pain, how deep it is, and whether it is at a place where they're actually going to make a change because of it. So remember that most sales fall through 70% because of status quo. People want to stick with the status quo. They don't want change. They don't like change. And if you're offering a technical product or a big solution that's different, you've got to remember that. You think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but for them, they're looking at it and going, oh my God, we're going to have to train staff. We're going to have to, update our computers. I don't know, whatever it is that they need to do to be able to use it. It's a change. And so it's understanding whether that piece of pain they've got, whether that problem is actually big enough to beat that status quo, and for them to actually go, okay, you know what, we're going to go out, we're going to look for a solution, and we are going to change what we do. And that's quite a big ask for most businesses. So that's why the qualifying of every opportunity is so key. And with most people that I come across who ask me this question or tell me people are ghosting them, if we look at the process, we always find out that there was no qualification of the opportunity. So essentially, they've kind of gone and they peaked too soon. They got them a wonderful all singing, all dancing proposal, sent them a load of videos and brand materials where the person isn't actually buying at the moment. So you completely miss the mark. And now they feel uncomfortable because they were just being nice and interested in your business. And now you're trying to sell to them. And people then, I don't know if you can identify with that, but often it can be very frustrating. You think you've got this sale, you've come away thinking wonderful, you send all this stuff, and then the person disappears. It can be very, very, very annoying. So, so I just think that that's something that you really need to be aware of. Is did you actually qualify that opportunity? Did you go through the process with it and asked all these questions to make sure that the problem is actually something they're going to do something about? In your mind, I think you need to know three things. You need to know what the problem is. Do they have a budget to solve it? And who else is involved in the decision making? And I suppose a fourth thing would be the timeline. So if you know the timeline, the people involved, do they have a budget, and you understand the problem quite well, then I think you can safely say that you could move that down the funnel quite well. And and you follow up, be persistent. As I said already, that's quite important with the sales and BD development, is to be persistent with it in a really, really professional and polite manner. Always ask, when should I call you back if I haven't heard from you? Is it okay to give you a call in 2 weeks if I haven't heard anything? And all of that sort of builds into a really clear sales process that sort of fits and gives you that sort of, the next step, using different touch points. So if somebody, 1 week you could email them if they haven't come back, maybe try on LinkedIn, maybe text them, maybe call them, try different things. If you've had that time agreed with them, that gives you quite a strong sort of traction point to sort of say, look, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, you said that it would be good to catch up now, I'm just trying to get hold of you. And there's and just sort of keep it as a process. I will talk about following up a bit more in a minute. So that is my top tips for developing opportunities.